Hey everybody, Ron Carruthers here, and I got a late night lesson for y'all, for everybody who can't sleep. First of all, making dinner, so I'll be a little bit distracted here. We had a long day at the office. I'm making star and iron steak. We got some Barry White going here. It's what we were listening to beforehand for a little late night finance 101. Ooh, yeah. There you go. First of all, if you guys have never had a reverse seared steak before, it is hands down the best way to cook a steak I can find. I like it even better than a sous vide. If you guys don't own a sous vide, by the way, we're going to get to the business of IRAs and should you contribute or shouldn't you in just like 2 minutes. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Ron Carruthers. I kind of work in all areas of college, like paying for it with the least amount of your own money possible, helping my clients get their finances in order, helping them find money they're losing unknowingly and unnecessarily, and then working with them to help secure their retirement. So that's who I am if you don't know. And on tonight's class, like I said, we're going to talk about a little known tactic should you do it. But first, if you don't own a sous vide machine, you need to buy one right now. It's a way of cooking stuff with water. You like seal your food, vacuum wrap it, or seal it in a plastic bag, put all your herbs and spices in there, chicken, vegetables, steak, you name it. And the food comes out amazing. So like you might throw a ribeye in there for an hour and a half, season it. All the seasoning stays in there. It doesn't go in the pan. And then all you do at the end is sear it real quickly, and it's amazing. The other thing that you can do is do a reverse sear. And what a reverse sear is, so when I was in the restaurant business 2 decades plus ago, I worked at a high-end French restaurant, and we would do a lot of regular searing. So basically what you do is sear a piece of meat to kind of lock in the flavor, and then throw it in the oven to bring it up to temperature, whatever temperature you want, without turning around and making the meat tough or anything like that. A reverse sear is exactly the opposite of that. So that's where you take a steak and you season it, put it on a rack in the oven at really low heat. I got mine at 250 right now. I got about 1.5 inch thick boneless choice ribeye. And just let it slowly come up to about 123 degrees, which is medium rare. And then I'm going to fire up this skillet until I smoke out my entire house. Throw the steak in there with some Irish butter, a little garlic, some oil, for about 45 seconds aside. It's going to be amazing. So anyway, let's get to work here. Should you or should you not contribute to an IRA? To do that, we are going to go to the chart. So I want you guys to check out that chart for a second. Tell me what you see. If you've seen it before, just stay with me for a second, and I'm going to read to you an article from MSNBC. No, it's from CNBC. All right, Barry, you got to chill for a second. I'm going to turn off the Barry White for you guys before you get too funky. But anyway, here's your headline. Only 25% of Americans know this effective tax-saving strategy is legal. All right? So here's what it is. It's contributing to an IRA for the previous year before you filed your taxes for that year. So in other words, how this conversation kind of came up is an accountant that I refer a lot of my clients to that I love. She's awesome. But she told this client, hey, you're going to owe the federal government $1,300. But if you and your husband each make a contribution to an IRA, deductible IRA, and they're like in their early 30s, you're going to end up getting back $3,400. Well, who in the hell doesn't like that deal, right? That sounds awesome. Pay 13 or get back 3,400. That kind of seems like a no-brainer, or is it? So that's what I want to show you guys right here. Now, if you're looking at the what we call the personal economic model. Basically, if you've never seen this before, everything on here, this tank over here represents all the money you're going to make in your lifetime. And no, as a matter of fact, I did not do well in art class in school. So that represents all the money you and your family are going to make in your entire lifetime. Right? So money comes in through this sucker, and then it goes down, and it hits this copper thing that's bolted on there, which is your tax filter. And the reason that the tax filter is there is because you don't get a choice. You have to pay taxes. And I suppose if you listen to Jack Canfield, the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy, he's like, well, everything in life is a choice. And he's a good dude. I like Jack. But he's like, well, you can choose not to pay your taxes, and they can choose to put you in jail for several years. We're going to go with it's really not optional. So anyway, and then let's clean this up a little bit here. So then one of two things either happens. Either money comes down this way and just is gone forever in lifestyle, or money gets pumped up into one of these two tanks, the tank that can lose money and the tank that can't. And then when you have an IRA, you're kind of skipping this bottom inflow and avoiding this tax filter for now, and you're dropping money straight into this tank. Now, we got to get rid of this thing here, clean this up. So let's make that go away. And so what happens is, nope, wrong button. You begin to build an account over here that has money in it. So if you have $1 million in your IRA, the question that I always ask my clients is, all right, you got $1 million in your IRA. How much of that is yours? And the answer is, we don't know. And the reason we don't know is because when you set up this IRA, you postponed. The word they use when you're signing up is deferred, but really you postponed paying taxes on the money. So this red portion here represents the money that goes to the government. Now, who controls this lever on the bottom? It ain't you, it's them. So that's the thing that you have to think in mind. Does any single person on this call, well, it's not really a call, it's like a Facebook Live thing. Does anybody on this know what your withdrawal rate is going to be when you get ready to retire? Nobody knows that. And even if it starts out at one thing when you retire, 5 years later, it's something different. A couple years after that, it's something different. It kind of depends on who's in Congress and who's in office. So they kind of do this with the money. You might owe more, you might owe less, you might owe whatever. But the fact of the matter is you have no control over this money. Now, let me show you these guys being jerks and what they do in the past. Let's see if this works. Oh, I think it's good. Yeah, I'm learning this new BeLive.tv. It's working. By the way, I should take a moment to let you know this whole thing is being sponsored by my college planning class that's coming up in the next few days that you can learn more about. We're going to do them on retirement. We're going to do them on everything. But it's a chance to hang out and see what's going on. If you have a kid going to college or have a friend going to college anytime soon, or a kid in college, you need to check out my class. The details are there. All right, let's hide that and go back to work. So check it out. This is the top tax brackets going back 106 years, which is how long the tax code has been in existence. If you see me looking at my watch, I'm not bored. I'm trying to make sure I don't burn my steak. And in a minute, I'm going to have to turn on the skillet. By the way, in the next video, I'm going to give you guys my slap your grandma. They are so good Brussels sprouts recipe. You'll never, never, never want to have Brussels sprouts different than this. And it was all because I was experimenting one night and drinking the good wine and just messing around. And it's amazing and it's super easy to make. So I'm going to tell you guys that later. Anyway, check it out. This is the top tax brackets going back a long time to 1913 when the whole thing started. So in 1913, the most you could pay them was 7%. And that lasted for exactly 3 years. And then they were like, you know what? We like this money. Let's make it 15%. What the hell? Let's make it 67% on any money you make over 200. Is that 2 million? I think that's 2 million. Now, there were still people making $2 million a year back then. And so it's gone up, it's gone down, it's kind of gone all over the place. But here's what I want to point out to you guys. When IRAs started back in the 70s and 401ks, when the government began to start those plans, the top tax rate was 70%. So you might not have been in the top tax bracket because you weren't making over $200,000, but your parents or your grandparents, depending on how young you are, might have been making somewhere close to that and paying 40, 50% in federal taxes. So if they deferred money here and then started withdrawing it in here, that was a smart decision because they saved money. But if you look at the average, right now the tax average is 57.69%. And if you look over here, we're well below that. So now the question is, if you have $1 million in your IRA, it's not $1 million, let's check these zeros. Yep, looking good to me. Whoop, tab off that. At zero tax on a tax-free account, if you could get that much money into a 7702 or a Roth IRA, your share is $1 million, the IRS's share is nothing. But if we start to climb up and we're at a 25% tax bracket, guess what? Now $750,000 of that money is yours, and $250,000 of it ain't. It's theirs. And if you remember back to my little illustration, remember the red portion of the tank was closest to the valve where you'd let money out because they want their money. They can throw you in jail. And now if we take it all the way up to the average, that means of this money, $420,000 is your share, $580,000 is their share. More than half of it belongs to them. You see, when you're making these payments to your IRA, deferring them, the government is watching your retirement account grow right along with theirs. They're your partner. And again, who controls this lever here isn't them. Isn't you, it's them. So they can do whatever they want. Let me show you something else kind of crazy. You might be saying, well, I'm not going to retire rich. Okay, fair enough. By the way, the original question I haven't lost yet was, should you make a contribution to an IRA to save money on your tax bill right now? We're going to come back to that in just a couple more minutes. Stay with me. All right, so let's take a look here through time. And where we're going to go is right before World War II. So the bottom of my screen. Y'all should be able, well, you might not be able to see that because my picture's there and I don't really know how to make it go away. Great. All right, so we're going to have to move this like this. Hold on, what happens if we do that? No, that's bad. If we do this, that's bad. But if we do that, whichever one makes it bigger. All right, we're going to stay with this. And what I'm going to do, let's see. Okay, I can tell the screen cuts off here. So we're going to bring it up like right here. All right, you should be able to see this right here. We're in 1941. So y'all, actually, let's go to 1940. So this whole row right here. So I want you to look over on the right side first. And what I want you guys to see is that if you made $5 million, you were taxed 81% of everything over $5 million. All right, well, $5 million is a lot of money. It's a lot of money now. It was even more money back then. But if you were taxed if you made the lowest bracket, well, let's come back to that in a second. Now I want you to take a look at the next year, 41, it stayed the same. You paid 81% on $5 million. But look what happened the following year. You paid 88% in taxes on $200,000 and everything above that. So check it out. In 1 year, the government needed money. They moved the goalpost $4.8 million. Like, haha, kidding, sucks to be you. Now, if you make $200,000, or more, you got to pay us 88% of everything above that. And if you notice, by 1944, that wasn't even enough. You had to pay 94% on everything above $200,000. They bumped it up to 94%. jerks. But now look over here, what they did to the quote unquote middle class or poor. In 1939, you didn't start paying taxes until you made $4,000, and then it was only 4%. The next year, they raised it a little bit, 4.4%. Whoa, look what happened in 1941 over here. They dropped it to $2,000, and they bumped it to 10%. Whoa, check it out. Look what they did the next year, 19%. By 1944, it was 23%. So now let's go back to summarize this, and then we'll go back to answer the question. Even on the middle class and the poor, the government went in a 5-year period from paying no taxes to 4%, 10%, 19%, 23%. Bam. While at the same time doing it to the rich. So what's the joke? If the government needs more money, who do they raise taxes on? The rich. If the government still needs money, what do they do next? They change the definition of who is rich. We saw that happen in 42. They changed it by $4.8 million in 1 year. No warning, just whoa. Then at the same time, what happens if they still need more money? Well, they changed the definition and the terms of who's poor, and they increased it by 5 times. They went from, well, if you have nothing, you're paying nothing, you can't really say 5 times nothing is still nothing. But if you were in the 4,000, making $4,000 like you see over here, they went from 4% to 10 to 19 to 23. Now, let me ask you a question. The government right now is $22 trillion in debt. So Security is going to have some problems, not going to go away. Medicare is going to have some problems. It's not going away. What direction over the next 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years do you think taxes are going over the long term? Up, staying the same, or down? Most people, when asked that question, say up. And then the next question we ask them is a little bit or a lot? Most of them are like, a lot. Bingo. So now let's come back to our question today. My client who had the choice of writing a check for $1,300 to the federal government or investing $10,000 into an IRA. She's 33, both her and her husband are right there. Let's say they're 35. So that means we got 30 years till retirement. So they can write that check, invest that $10,000, and get back $3,400. That sounds so good, doesn't it? But hold on a second. That $10,000, if we assume it's going to grow at 7%, if the rule of 72 means it's going to double every 10 years. So in 10 years, the 10 is going to grow to 20. In 10 more years, the 20 is going to grow to 40. And in 10 more years, when they're 65, the 40 is going to grow to 80. Now, guess what? Now, when they retire, now they have to pay tax on that money. So the question is, would you rather pay tax on $10,000 now? Let's see if I can go back here to that thing. $10,000 now, when we know taxes are lower, or at least some of the lowest that they've historically been, or do you want to pay taxes on $80,000 down the road when potentially taxes are much higher? Now you might say, well, if they're retired, they're going to have other, they might be in a lower bracket. The problem is these brackets change like I showed you. So the answer we told them, which is what I've said repeatedly, and I will repeat for as long as they keep screwing around with this tax system, is never defer taxes unless you're getting a match. So 401ks are good up to the point you're getting a match. Don't defer. We have another client who's mid-50s looking at writing a $40,000 check to a SEP plan. Again, sounds great. I defer taxes on that, probably save $10,000 in taxes this year. And let's say same thing, the money just stays until for 10 years at 7%, it's going to grow from 40 to 80. We're in the exact same position. Instead of paying tax on the 40, now we got to pay tax on the 80 at whatever rate whoever's in Congress, whoever controls the Senate, says we pay. And again, at some point, that 22 trillion is coming due. So that's your lesson for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll try to shoot these normally during the day. Tomorrow, we're going to be chatting about college stuff. We're back on college for a little bit. Thursday, we're going to come back around and look at some more finance stuff. And you know what? I hope you guys enjoyed this. We want it to be that finances are fun. So we want money to be fun, not an area of stress for you guys. And don't forget, tomorrow I'm going to give you guys my awesome Brussels sprouts recipe. Oh, you don't like Brussels sprouts? You will when I'm done with these. Unless you're a vegan, because they have bacon in them, you're going to hate them in that case. But they're going to be awesome. All right, back to Barry White. We will chat at you guys later. I'm going to go finish my steak, make me and Star, crack me and Star a bottle of wine, and enjoy the fact that my wife's out of town. By the way, if you saw this, don't tell her I filmed this in our kitchen. We're going to get ready to remodel this sucker. It's just not like people seeing this. So yeah, you guys got to keep a secret on that, all right? All right, I trust you. Talk to you soon. By the way, if you like this thing, be sure to check out my class and be sure to hit the like button and share this with your friends. We could really use trying to get this information into as many hands as possible, and it goes against what the mainstream media is telling everybody, and yet we'll prove it all day, every day with facts. So hit the like button. Feel free to share this with your friends. Feel free to like our page. We'd love to have you follow us along for the ride. All right, that's it for the night. We'll talk to you guys soon. I'm going to go love my steak. See you guys later. Hell yeah. Sing it, Barry.